everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. In today's video I am showing you my May bullet journal spreads. The theme for this month is Taylor Swift because she just released her latest album, The Tortured Poets Department, and that gave me inspiration to do a different spread for each of the albums that she's released over the years. I know she's re-recording them so that they're like Taylor's version, and that's awesome. I'm just going with the vibes from the past albums and their album covers and the songs in them, just because that's what I grew up with. So on the left, I've got my quote page. It says, "You've got your demons and darling, they all look like me." And then there's a little lipstick stain kiss mark on the bottom there. And then on the title page, there's a cassette tape and a Polaroid camera kind of leaning against each other there. Behind them, I'm gonna draw a little blue splash and then add some seagulls. I don't know if I did the seagulls on camera or not. Part of this I didn't do on camera because I was frustrated with it, or it was just like so repetitive and boring that I didn't film it. But I bought these new acrylic paint pens that are not Poscas. They're just like Artist Loft, like super generic brand, because they were half the price of Poscas. And so I'm trying them out for this. Moving on to the calendar spread, I printed off these wallpapers from Pinterest, which I will link below. And I'm gluing them in as if they're like little scraps of newspaper that I've added there. And then I'll just go ahead and add the calendar on top and then choose a font from this album for the days of the week. Now for the very last column of the week, I do just have the letter N, and that's to signify notes, because I didn't want to have to write out the whole word notes in this fancy like old English font or whatever it is. So that's why I just went with the single letter there. And originally I wasn't going to draw the calendar parts that are underneath of that top leftmost piece of paper, but I ended up putting them there anyways. So now I've zoomed you guys in so that you can see how I did this font. I did draw it out in pencil beforehand because I don't have a calligraphy pen, and this is definitely done or would be done with a like ink and a calligraphy pen. So I just used my paint pens and did not the correct brush strokes in order to get it to look like this, but I think it turned out really well. This is definitely one of my favorite spreads here. If you did not already guess it, this spread is based on the album Reputation. Moving into the habit tracker, I wanted to try something new because I did buy these markers. I have pretty colors to play with, pretty pastel ones. And so I have these like cotton candy colored clouds in the background, and I wanted to blend them together. I tried using my finger and then I got fingerprints everywhere. So maybe using a brush would have been better for this. I do end up using a brush a little bit later, but we will get to that point. The pink is super translucent, so that was not great, but the purple and the blue, those blended together really nicely. Now for the rest of the habit tracker, I just have these white squares in the middle that are going to turn into Scrabble tiles that will say habits across it. And then each little habit just has a different cutesy little symbol. So I've got a rainbow, heart-shaped sunglasses, hearts, stars, butterflies, and then like an engagement ring, or just like a regular ring if you don't want it to be an engagement ring. And then I just have the boxes outlined in white with my white Posca, and I've written in each of the little calendars in there. If you haven't guessed what this spread's based off of, this is from the album Lover. And I guess I didn't say the first two, but the quote page is for the album Red, and then the title page is for 1989. Moving into the mood tracker, I have an acoustic guitar on the left side of the page, and then I'm drawing a bunch of different butterflies flying out of it as if, you know, it's being played, and instead of music notes, it's butterflies. I do add a couple of music notes in there because I thought it was a little bit plain with just the butterflies. And when I got to the end, I realized I'd drawn 30 and not 31. So I had to add that as well. So there are going to be different shades of blue because it's based off of Taylor's debut album. And then because she has, I think it was 13 albums, I needed to add an extra page. So I did a brain dump page and made it a typewriter, which I'm just drawing a silhouette. Now because we're in black paper, my silhouette is white, which was like a lot to color in, and I didn't want to do a second coat. So I just have this typewriter with a piece of paper coming out of it, and I wrote brain dump on the top. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. For the spread next to it, I just have these silver boxes with the day of the week in cursive, and then these silvery trees at the bottom. Those are a little bit more difficult to tell which ones they apply to, but the brain dump was for the Tortured Poets Department, and then the week one is for folklore. this is the spread that I was mentioning where I used a brush. So I used these thicker markers and used the brush to kind of spread the ink around to soften it a bit because I wanted the colors to blend into the black. And it's based off of the album Evermore, and that like plaid coat that she wears is where I got that pattern from. I know it's not perfect, but I actually thought it turned out really well for what I was doing. Now this spread, I've got my silver little stars and a dark blue top to them. I do change the lettering. I didn't like that it was just straight black, so I did end up going back and changing it to silver. And then I've got a disco ball, a clock, and a moon hanging from the corner. And I do eventually add week 3 there. So again, if you haven't already guessed, that week was for the album Midnights. In contrast to silver, now we're going in with gold for week, I think we're on week 4 now, week 4. So then over top of the gold, I just wrote in the days of the week, pretty straightforward, simple there. There was a heart on the left page and a butterfly on the right page, and it was for the album Fearless. Okay, so that was week 4, so because this is week 5, I know for sure. And so I'm going in with a light purple and a dark purple. I don't have any in-between colors, and I did end up doing multiple coats, and then to mix them, I just kind of drew willy-nilly lines through each side, and then I was outlining in white and decided I didn't like the way that looked, so then I outlined them in black instead. And I also added some lilac flowers, and that is for the Speak Now album. So here's the final flip through. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how many you were able to guess before I finished, and what you think of these overall spreads, if they are, you know, album inspired enough. I like the way that these turned out, and I thought it was a creative way to integrate her new album release with the upcoming month bullet journal spread. So I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you all in the next video.